Hello, it's me, Natty, and going live again today. Going live pretty much every day. Every day around the same time, I'm pretty much going to come on here to see if anybody has any questions, if anyone's trying to increase their fertility naturally and needs any help. I'm going to be here. So, we already have some people in the room. Hello, hello. To be golden, do you have any questions about fertility? Are you trying to increase your fertility naturally? Right? So, what should we talk about today? Yesterday we talked about polyps, and I kind of briefly said I was going to talk about some uncommon reasons for getting fibroid that a lot of people wouldn't think about. So I don't know, maybe I should expand on that. What do you think? I like to kind of keep it open for whatever is relevant for whoever's watching. So if you have any questions about fertility, go ahead and type it in, because I definitely would love to know and to share, right? And I want to know what you all are doing to, you know, to address your fertility issues, because I know there's a whole wait and see type of scenario going on with fibroids, where the doctor will tell you to wait and see, but you wait and see, and all you're going to see sometimes is that the fibroid gets bigger, and that they tell you, okay, now it's time to remove your womb. So I'm not really with the wait and see protocol, especially if you're not doing anything to sort of reduce the chances of it getting worse or bigger, right? So that's one thing they tell you to do, right? So let me see. Let me go to my website that I created and look up the unusual causes of fibroids that I mentioned. I was going to talk about. I spoke about it on my call, but I didn't speak about it in the live. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, since I didn't mention it yesterday. So what's good to be golden though? What's going on with you? How are you doing? Right? What brings you here? Right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, fibroids was actually one of the first fertility issues that I had studied. And they were trying to say that there's no cause. It's like, so ridiculous how they mislead you. You know, they tell you there's no reason for it, as though, like, what are you supposed to do with that information? You know, if somebody tells you there's no reason for why your house burned down, are you going to accept that? You know, somebody tells you there's no reason for why all the money in your bank account is just cleared. Are you gonna buy that? Right? So it's interesting that when it comes to your womb, or whatever health issue, that somebody can just run that by you, and you're supposed to just like swallow that, like, okay, yeah, there's no reason for why you have a watermelon sized mass of muscle and tissue growing in your womb. It doesn't make any sense, does it? No. Okay, so let me just go to my website too and tell you all some of the reasons for for fibroids. This is not even what I wanted to mention. Okay, so in this one I have 9 reasons why you might have fibroids. Okay, one of them is race. Okay, because Black women, we are more likely to get fibroids than other races of women, and nobody tells us this, nobody talks about this. How I found out about fibroids, luckily I actually found out about it young. I lived in a really, like, I don't want to say really bad neighborhood, but I pretty much grew up in like the projects, whatever, right? And there were some boys there. So this is going to turn into a whole story time. I'm just going to do story times, I guess, from now, because I always end up telling these stories. So yeah, so there were some boys, and like they were trying to, like, you know, do stuff with me, because the other girls were basically, the older girls were letting them do things with them, and they were all okay with it, and I was younger. And I didn't, I don't know. But anyway, they were trying to do stuff with me and I wasn't really with it. So they were asking me questions like, would I call the police if they did such and such to me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, what, 9 years old or something like that. And they're like, would I do this? So I'm like, well, why would you want to do that to me anyways, basically, right? So because I said that, they started punching me in my breast, and they were like, ooh, they wanted to give me breast cancer. And so they punched me in my breast. Okay, I started crying, middle of the street, middle of broad daylight. I started crying, and then they literally said they wanted to give me breast cancer. So this older woman, she saw me crying, 'cause, they had punched me, they had left and went away. And so she saw me crying. She was asking me what's wrong. I so much wanted to tell her what was wrong, but I was like, I just finished getting punched. So I was like in no real mind state to really tell her da 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 happened, right? So anyways, fast forward. So now I'm like 14 years old. And this is around the same time where I was telling you about the whole um the cells, my uterine cells becoming abnormal and them trying to laser my pom pom. If you didn't see that one, you got to look out for it when I upload it to my YouTube. So it's around the same time I found out that was happening. And then I found out that I had a lump in my breast, the same breast in the very same section and spot that they punched me. And so what happened was I did go and get it examined, and they told me, okay, it's a benign fibroid. Now, I didn't know anything about fibroids or what they meant by benign. I literally at that time thought that I had breast cancer. And I was like crying to my mom. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna... She was like telling me how she has a fibroid too, and that basically if it's not causing you any pain, you don't have to do anything about it. But I was like pretty proactive. Like I went anyways and went and got it examined, and they confirmed that it was a benign fibroid. So, I had relaxed off of that for a bit. But like, I don't know, when I was like I might have been like maybe like 24, 25-ish or something like that. It did start causing me some like minor pain. So I still didn't do anything about it, but what happened is that by accident, I started to be able to shrink my fibroid. Now, I don't even know how I got this deep in the story about my breast fibroid, but anyways, by accident, I started to be able to shrink the fibroid. So let me tell you how that came about, because it's actually pretty deep. Okay, yeah, so that's what happened. I started planning more, right? I started using an app on my phone. I started using this app on my phone and like basically planning what my whole day was going to look like, what my week was going to look like. And like I just did this out of just a lot of time I had time on my hand to plan the time on my hand, right? So I started using this app, and then like what I would do, it would show me like where we're at in the day, and then like, based on where we were at in the day, I would hold on. But yeah, based on where we were at in the day, that's what I would be doing. And I kind of like really tried to stick to it. So I literally had planned when I was going to clean the walls. I planned when I was going to make food. I eat beans. So I would have on there like around 3 o'clock, I would soak the beans. And then so by 5 o'clock, I would cook the beans. And I stuck to this like religion. I have a lot of children, so I even had on there when I was going to refold the laundry. But what I had on there that made the difference and that opened up my eyes was that I had on there when I was going to drink apple cider vinegar, my apple cider vinegar blend. So I've been making this apple cider vinegar blend. It tastes really good. You would never imagine half the time that it actually, is apple cider vinegar in it. And I'm looking like I have apple cider vinegar right here to show you, because normally I have everything to show people, like, but I don't today. But anyways, so I had on there charting like when I was gonna take my apple cider vinegar blend. So I was doing that for maybe like 2 months, if not longer than that, but it was at least 2 months. And one day I noticed, I was like, the lump in my breast is almost non-existent, right? So that like blew my mind. I was like, I kind of sensed that apple cider vinegar had an effect on fibroids, but I never really like studied it too deep to look into it. So anyways, I went on vacation, can call it that, vacation, because a tree fell on my house. So it was kind of like, let's get the hell up out of here. Let's do something different for a while. So went on vacation, went to LA, went all over the place basically. And in doing that, I stopped my apple cider vinegar routine that I was doing. I stopped everything. I stopped everything I had on the list. I stopped doing all of it. So I noticed that the shrink in the size of the fibroid also stopped. So I was like, okay. So now, anyways, I was working on this website that I'm telling you about, which is, this is how we got into this conversation. So I was working on this website, and I'm doing my research to find out how to shrink fibroids, because, you know, what happened was, how I even came into the fibroid scene was that I like to get books from like the thrift store. So I've been a book junkie on healing properties and healing modalities for quite a bit now. So one day I came across this book about healing fibroids, written by this Black woman. I can't remember her name right now, or probably even what the book is called. But anyway, so I read that book, and it kind of opened my eyes. So I decided that I wanted to create a website to kind of like to help women who are dealing with fibroids in order to shrink the fibroids. So I was doing all the research, and it so came up that apple cider vinegar helps to shrink fibroids. So I was like, so that's why it was that, you know, it just brought it full circle, right? So when I got back now, I started doing my apple cider vinegar routine again, and I noticed the fibroid in my breast started to shrink once again. So the fibroid doesn't really bother me. I still have it. It's like really, really small. Before it was like about that big, and you could feel, like I was able to feel like, I guess where my vein kind of like went through it a little bit, but now it's like very small. You can't feel it. I used to be able to like pop it, like pretend this is my breast. I used to be able to pop it through my breast, like not pop it through my breast, but I used to be able to like see the size of it and everything. I can't really do that no more. And like, it doesn't bother me. So it's not like right now I'm not fretting over it. It's not like it's in my breast. It's not like it's in my womb or anything. But it really has decreased in size to almost non-existent. Like my breast just feels like my breast now. So now y'all got me filling up my breast on freaking Instagram Live. Hold on. But yeah, let me see. I haven't felt it in like, I haven't even searched for it in like at least 2 years. So maybe a year. So I'm kind of feeling it now. Hold on. It usually is never this hard to like. It was not this hard to ever feel for it. Y'all, I'm gonna have to like take my breath off. But like I can't really feel it no more. It used to be really, really noticeable. So anyways, that's my story on fibroids and how basically I shrunk it, or it's probably gone. I don't know. I stopped taking the apple cider vinegar. You know, I like to give myself a break. Apple cider vinegar can be very harsh. And I have somebody that's always getting on me about taking apple cider vinegar, but like I don't really use it that much. And so anyways, what I wanted to tell you was nine causes of that can cause fibroids. And of course I'm talking about uterine fibroids. I spoke about my breast fibroid because it is kind of similar. It's just that this one is in my breast, whereas you might have one in your womb. And I'm saying that from my experience and from the research I did, apple cider vinegar helps to shrink fibroids. So what I was saying is the cause of fibroids, that what I told you is what I think caused my fibroid. Trauma, literal physical attack, where my cells was, you know, compacted with all of that force and pressure and aggression from being punched repeatedly in the very same spot, I think is what caused my fibroid. So, you know, my cells, I think they were damaged, and in order to heal themselves and in order to strengthen themselves, that they like, just like a keloid, I think that they just like formed stronger and like try to, I guess, protect themselves, right? But like I said, it has shrunk it, and it pretty much is non-existent. I can't really, like right now, I just tried to find it, I couldn't find it. But some other reasons why you might have fibroids, again, is Black women. We tend to have more fibroids. And again, we're also we don't know how to prevent it. We're not aware of it. We don't talk about it. Like I said, so that's how we started that conversation. I did not learn about fibroids until I thought I was going to die from having breast cancer in my breast, because it was actually a fibroid. And that's how I learned about it. Whereas maybe some other people, maybe they're talking about this stuff more, other races of women, I don't know. But Black women, we just tend to be more prone to fibroids. So genetics, again, can contribute to fibroids. So if my mom had fibroids, maybe if I didn't change my diet and become vegan, maybe I would have uterine fibroids too, but I don't, right? At least I don't feel them. I don't know them. I do not experience any irregular bleeding or anything or pain that would indicate that I do. And I eat a pretty healthy diet. Okay, weight gain can also help you to have fibroids, because fibroids are estrogen dependent. They're hormone dominant. So if you have excess estrogen in your body, estrogen can make the fibroids grow. Estrogen makes things grow, okay, whereas progesterone controls things. So if your hormones are out of balance and you have like more estrogen than other hormones, it can make the fibroids grow. It can make endometriosis proliferate. It can cause polyps to grow. So you wanna make sure that you are don't have like an excess amount of estrogen in your body at any point in time. Because and like you can get excess estrogen from things like, as they say, plastics. That's the type. So here's the thing: estrogen in itself is not bad. Like there are different types of estrogen. There's xenoestrogen, and then there is phytoestrogens. So phytoestrogens are found in plants. Phytoestrogens, you have estrogen like types of estrogens. And so what that means is like certain herbs and stuff, they have estrogen like activities, but they don't necessarily contain estrogen or phytoestrogens. So you have that exists. And then you also have again, xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens to me are more aggressive and more something you should be more concerned about, because they're non-organic. They're like from plastics, and again, they bind to the estrogen receptor cells in your body, like on the surface of your womb, and trigger the cells to do certain things. Whereas plant estrogens, your body kind of has a better idea of what to do with these plant estrogens. It can kind of filter it out a little bit more than something that is like more solid and more aggressive as a plastic estrogen. So I hope that makes sense. So estrogen is not all bad, because you also got to worry about testosterone. Testosterone is like the flip side of what estrogen does, because PCOS is like the flip side of like maybe fibroids or something, because PCOS is testosterone or androgen dominant. People don't talk about that. I don't know if this has something to do with the whole trying to condemn the woman type of thing, because we associate estrogen with female, we associate testosterone with male. However, women, we do carry some amounts of testosterone in us, and when we have a testosterone load, we can develop PCOS, which is where you are growing like excess facial hair, but you're thinning. You have like male pattern baldness, and your muscles will be thicker. So you got to think about both of them. Like you can be imbalanced on either side, right? So again, you got to watch your weight, because it can lead to a lot of things. And now recently I've been noticing that there has been some talk online about your weight not really preventing you from getting pregnant. Weight in and of itself is not going to prevent you, but the thing is that estrogen is stored in your fat cells. So if your fertility issue, if you have a fertility issue, is a result of estrogen, if it's estrogen dominant, you want to reduce the estrogen, so that way you can reduce the fat, so that way you can reduce the amount of estrogen that is stored in your body. So I don't know if these other people are talking about that, but that's where the problem with weight comes in. Okay, so again, diet is another reason why you might have fibroids, because again, you can take in a lot of estrogen through the diet. Apparently chicken is high in estrogen, and a lot of like fatty foods and so forth, because if you're eating an animal that stores estrogen in its fat, And these things are made to be fat, like the chicken and the animals and stuff. They're injected with hormones that make the animal fat. What hormone do you think they're injecting that animal with? It might be estrogen or oestrogen or like a type of estrogen. There's different types of estrogen. So again, stress again can lead to fibroids because you're storing all this energy and all this vibrate, like you're storing the energy literally, and it's manifesting itself in a part of your body. So when you are like hurt, or when you are in pain, or when you are traumatized, a lot of times as women we tend to hold on to that pain. Like you might tense up your womb, you might stiffen up your womb, and like tense up your abdominal, your lower abdominal area. And if you keep doing that, you're shutting off circulation. Like just think of, just tighten your stomach right now, contract your stomach. You're shutting off circulation. You're shutting off blood flow, and again, the lack of oxygen that is reaching that area can like sort of cause disruption, and then fibroids can grow there, right? How do you know when your estrogen is high or low in your body? Is that generally found out by getting blood work done? Like you can do blood work, but I would say too, you can also like look at your body mass index, or like your BMI, or um can one of you get me a charger and a cord? I need a charger and a cord. My phone about to die. So I mean, like if you have like excess fat on your body, like I would kind of use that as a sort of like as a scale too, because you can go and do blood work. I'm not the best when it comes to promoting anything medical, any of their type of stuff. Like I will suggest that I will present the information just so you can make the choice that you want. But yeah, you can do blood work, and you know they'll tell you, or they also have at home kits that you can do, and then you can send the information to them, right? But I mean, if we know that that estrogen is stored in the fat, that's one way to tell. If you are consuming foods that are high in estrogen, that's another way to tell. Again, this is why they say that the men are becoming effeminate, because of the foods that they're eating. The foods are rich in estrogen, and it's making them effeminate, whatever. So if you cut out certain foods, you can do a cleanse. Because estrogen is also stored in your stool. So if you do like a cleanse, that helps to get the excrement out of your body, right? So it's not just being recirculated back into your bloodstream. So you can do a cleanse. You can, again, eat certain foods that directly get estrogen out of your body, like broccoli. And again, a lot of herbs help to cleanse estrogen out of your body, right? But I mean, you definitely could do blood work if that's what you want to do. Like I could tell for myself, again, that I got some excess estrogen. Like I just had a baby, I'm a little chubby right now. So I know I got a little excess estrogen. So that is why, again, they tell you that, like, working out is one thing. But what you want to do if you're working out, you don't want to be doing these strenuous type of exercises, these like pushing yourself. I literally see women online that they have fibroids, but they're working out, lifting like 200-300 pound dumbbells and all that. But what's happening is you're putting your body into stress, and it's kind of like you're forcing your body to hold on to fat again. You're forcing your body to hold on to the very thing that you're trying to get rid of. Hello. Right? So you want to go, you kind of want to do things that are more slow, that are more sensual, that are more feminine, such as like yoga, such as Pilates, and like I would really stick to the feminine arts, because the other stuff was never made for us. Like unless you're going to war or something, I don't see why a woman needs to be lifting 500-pound dumbbells. Of course, like you can have your hobby and your what you want to do for fun, but if that's your method of trying to get rid of fibroids, or trying to get rid of something that's estrogen dominant, if that's your method of losing weight for that, I don't necessarily think that that's going to work, because I think you're just causing more stress on the body, and we have enough stress. Like your outlet, your self-care should not be causing you more stress, right? So that's what I have to say about that. So again, stress We just talked about stress. That's number 5. Number 6 is hormones. So again, we kind of talked about that already. Again, if your hormones are unbalanced, you can grow fibroids. Number 7, relationships. Again, if you have unhealthy relationships, they contribute to the stress. Okay, can cause you to eat more foods that are fattening, right? Dairy is also not good for fibroids, right? Let me see what else. Again, delayed pregnancy. This one came up. I know a lot of people might not want to hear this, but delaying pregnancy, according to some studies, has been suggested that it increases the likelihood of fibroids. So that's what came up a lot when I was doing the research, that not having children can increase your risk of fibroids. And I guess it's because when you have a child, I am guessing, like, I made this blog, like this website, like 2 years ago, so I haven't really been back to it, but I'm guessing that when you have children, you give your hormones a chance to sort of adjust and render themselves where they need to go, like the fat goes in the right places. Whereas maybe if you don't have children, maybe you just store your fat in your womb, in your stomach area. Whereas if you had children, because the hips are widening and your breasts are widening, your estrogen goes there instead. But I will have to go again and look into that. But that's just my, I guess, intuition. That's what my intuition is telling me. Huh? No, I didn't use anything. No. Right. So that's what my intuition is telling me about why delaying pregnancy might increase your risk of fibroids. But you can look that up as well. And then lastly, number 9 is unfulfillment. And so in other, like Eastern practices like Ayurveda, they actually believe that unfulfillment in your life as a woman, unfulfillment in being creative and creating things outwardly leads to fibroids, because now you're storing things in. You're not putting out into the universe. You're not releasing. You're not letting go. You're holding on to things, holding on to ideas, holding on to your dreams, holding on to thoughts and feelings and what could be and what should have been, and all your ambitions, and you're just, again, storing it back into that womb area, increasing the stress, increasing the tension. And again, so the chakra, again, so I mentioned Ayurveda, so your chakra, your sacral chakra, your root chakra, again, that area deals with like a lot of your creative energy and your creative force. So according to the chakras, or how they teach chakras in the Ayurvedic system, if the channels are blocked, if the energy is blocked in your womb center, you cannot reach the other levels of the chakra. Like the energy will stay blocked there, and it will, like, the vibration will slow down, become more dense, become more blocked. So in order to release that, you pretty much have to do chakra work, or you have to do womb work, or you have to go back to your root center, your root chakra, because you got to release the energy and the tension there. So again, all of that kind of ties into stress, kind of ties into unfulfillment and all of that. And I guess when you have a baby, if we go back to number 8, that by having a baby and when you give birth to the baby, you are again opening up the channels of that chakra area. So those are my 9 causes that I had looked up as to why women may develop fibroids, that they're not going to tell you about, that they tell you there are no causes for fibroids. I get so pissed off when they say that there's no cause for, for this, that, or the other, because it's like, what are you all freaking studying? Doing all that, if you don't even know how to tell somebody to avoid something. It's like, if you want to avoid getting hit by a truck, how about you don't step into the middle of the road with your eyes blindfolded? Right? But they're not telling us. They're not giving you any heads up. And guess what? That still wasn't my unusual causes of fibroids, which I guess I'll talk about tomorrow, because that was quite a bit. So what I can say is that if you want to learn more how to increase your fertility naturally, I want to invite you to come over to my call right now that I guess I will have right after the show. Let me see if I can invite you right here, because hold on. So I'm going to give you the link, so that way I can show you how you can increase your fertility naturally for you or somebody that you know who might need this help. But that was what I found out about fibroids. There's a lot more information about why you may have fibroids or somebody may not have fibroids. I think that, again, we need to share this information more because, like I said, Black women, we are the highest cohort of women who are more than likely to get fibroids, as at a young age, right? And what happens is, if you don't do anything about it, 9 times out of 10, they're going to want to perform a hysterectomy on you. And a lot of times, just like C-sections, these hysterectomies, they're unnecessary, and they're not using the method where they can just cut the hysterectomy, like a myomectomy. They're not just cutting the fibroids out. They actually want to take your entire womb out. But your womb is a hormone regulator, right? So you don't want to cut your whole womb out, because now you're messing with your hormones even further, right? So, and then what they don't tell you, what they tell you, they tell you to that your fibroids will go away when you go through menopause. Okay, so they'll have women bleeding, okay, left, right, and center, waiting until they go through menopause. And then when you get through menopause, something else comes up that they don't tell you about, and that is the polyps. Okay, so we can't just ignore our wombs and ignore fertility and act like, ooh, everything is just going to clear up on its own. I'm just going to keep on living this stressful type of life and just, pushing myself to the limit and think that everything is going to clear up on its own. It doesn't work like that, right? So there is the link that I shared if you want to join my webinar, which I'm going to be starting maybe in about 10 minutes. I'm going to feed my baby and then get started on that webinar. So if you want to join in, please click the link or copy and paste. You can also, I guess, just go to Zoom and call 865-593-745. Okay, and then we'll talk some more. So if there's any questions, go ahead, please, and ask them now. I see we have all these people in the room. Are they up there? Right, so thank you to be golden for joining 30. Why you know tent just okay, I don't know why no tent just motherhood for life. Okay, the birth sister, thank you all for joining. Any questions? Okay, because I know to be golden had asked, how do you know when your estrogen is high or low in the body? Okay, yeah, another way to tell is to chart your menstrual cycle. So you do that with I don't have my purse, but yeah, you do that with the basal body thermometer. You track and chart your temperature. That can indicate to you where your hormones are at. It can reveal a lot just by looking at the chart and comparing your chart from month to month and comparing it against what's considered normal for a hormone level, because at different points in your cycle you release different hormones. So if your hormones are flatlined or if they're too high, that will help to give you an idea of whether your hormones are balanced or not. So if you remember from what was that, middle school, not even middle school, was that middle school? I think it was elementary or something, where they show you how the estrogen does all that. So your chart should pretty much look, or your estrogen, yeah, your chart should pretty much reflect where you are hormonally. So you want to get a basal body thermometer and do that. So that was that. How do you reverse PCOS? Okay. Well, like I said, you have to get your hormones balanced for one. Hold on. PCOS is the opposite of fibroids, is testosterone dominant. So you pretty much have to balance your testosterone levels. And then I think a lot of times women with PCOS may also have fibroid issues. PCOS is similar to diabetes. So you got to work on your, what is that thing called? Diabetes. What is that thing called? Your insulin levels as well. Okay, so there's a lot of herbs that can help with that. And let me see, 3 herbs that can help is cinnamon, but it has to be like Ceylon cinnamon, not the cinnamon in the grocery store. White peony is good for that, and there's one more herb that's really good for that. I'm trying to remember. But yeah, those are the two I can't remember right now. But if you book a call with me, then I'll go through more of what can help with PCOS. Okay, but PCOS is also weight related. Losing weight can also help with PCOS. Again, cutting out the stuff that's not healthy for us, the whole smoking, cigarettes, all of that is good. But again, it's testosterone load with PCOS.
I know what to get him because he's kind of on him. He's trying to walk by.
All right. So I'm gonna go feed my baby. If you have any more questions, DM me. But again, join that link that I sent to you. Okay, the Zoom, and then in about 10 minutes, I'm going to start the webinar over there. So thank you all for joining. I'm Natty. Thank you all. Peace.